Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time, we're going way beyond the headlines and the internet rumors to explore a real-life horror story.
Oh, this sounds good.
Yeah, and this one really starts with something I think we can all relate to. I mean, a locked door,
Mm-hmm.
you
A
know?
locked door. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting when you think about it. A locked door, I mean, it can represent safety and security, right? Like, it's a barrier between us and what's out there. But then at the same time, it can also be the opposite, right? Like, it can represent separation and mystery.
Oh, for sure. There's, like, you never know what's on the other side.
Exactly. You know what I mean? A potential threat lurking just out of sight.
Yeah, and that's exactly the feeling you get from the story we're diving into today. So picture this. It's Christmas Eve, you're at home with your family, you're in your duplex, having a nice quiet dinner. Everything seems totally normal, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Except for one thing.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
That locked connecting door to your neighbor's unit?
Oh, okay, so like a duplex situation. I
Exactly.
gotcha.
Yeah. It's almost like,
It's like one of those, what do they call it, Chekhov's gun?
oh yeah, yeah. Like you introduce it early on and you just know it's going to come into play later.
Yeah. You know it's coming. It just sets up all this anticipation and unease.
Totally. And the thing is, your neighbors are away on vacation or whatever, so that door should be the least of your worries. But then things take a turn. The doorknob starts turning. Slowly, deliberately. I mean, come on, who hasn't seen that in a movie?
Oh, it's classic.
And you just feel that, like, oh, little chill down your
I
spine.
have something bad's about to happen.
Exactly. But here's the thing. This isn't a movie. This is real life.
Oh, that makes it so much creepier.
I know, I
Mhm.
know. So what makes it so unsettling? I mean, it's that primal fear of the unknown, right? It's the classic haunted house scenario. But instead of ghosts, it's something way more real, something potentially really dangerous. So what would you do? Think about it. You're in this situation. Do you hide? Do you call the police? I don't know. I don't know what I would do.
That's a tough one. It really is.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do either.
Well, the family in this story decided to investigate. So the father goes over to the door, calls out, nothing, no answer. He unlocks the door and nothing, just an empty, dark duplex. It's weird, right?
It's like, what? What just happened? Yeah, that's weird.
Totally. And it's that moment of decision that gets me. They could have just dismissed it as a prank, a draft, whatever. But they choose to go in. I think it speaks to their courage, but maybe also, maybe a little naivete.
I don't know. I think I'd be a little curious, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. What if someone really had broken in? It's Christmas Eve. You don't want to leave your neighbor's place vulnerable.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So the father and an uncle, they go in, they have a flashlight, maybe a little holiday spirit. Who knows?
Oh, boy.
And that's where it gets really tense. They're moving from their safe, familiar space into the unknown. I mean, yeah, it's another horror movie trope, but again, this is reality.
And you keep saying that, but it's so true. Reality's way scarier.
I know, because in real life, there's no script, right? There's no guarantee of a happy ending. Anything could happen.
Exactly. Exactly.
So as they're going through this empty duplex, that sense of dread just grows and grows and grows. Then they hear it, a thud, from upstairs.
Oh, no.
As the listener, something bad's about to happen. It's like that slow motion train wreck. You can't look away.
Oh, tell me about it.
And then, just as they're starting to think maybe it was nothing, a scream, the uncle stumbles back down the stairs. He's been stabbed.
Oh, my gosh.
Can you imagine? It's like in a second, they go from concerned neighbors to victims of a violent crime.
It's crazy how fast things can change like that.
I know. It's a reminder that violence can happen anywhere, anytime. It just shatters our sense of safety. These people were just trying to do the right thing, and they end up in a nightmare.
It just makes you think, doesn't it, about how vulnerable we all are.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is only the beginning of the story. I mean, the attack itself is terrifying. But the psychological stuff that comes after, the fear, the trauma, that's what really gets to you.
Oh, yeah, that's the stuff that stays with you.
Exactly. And that's what we'll talk about in the next part of our deep dive. We'll explore the lasting impact of all this and how the family tries to deal with the fear and the uncertainty and the really unsettling truth about their neighbors. So last time we left off with the family running back to their young unit after the uncle was stabbed. They lock the door, but the attacker, he doesn't just give up. He starts throwing himself at the door, like trying to break through.
Imagine that, like you said, they just got back to their own place, they think they're safe, and then boom.
I know, it's like a horror movie, but it's actually happening. And the worst part is they have no idea who this guy is or what he wants.
Yeah, like, is it random? Is he targeting them specifically? Not knowing has got to be almost as bad as the attack itself.
Yeah, it's like your mind is just racing, trying to figure it out.
Our brains want to make sense of things, right? Like we're always looking for a pattern, an explanation.
Right.
But when something is just totally random and there's no reason for it, it just throws everything off.
It like takes away your feeling of control and safety,
Yeah, exactly,
And
exactly.
that's what this family's going through, this total loss of control. Because then as suddenly as it started, the noise stops. Silence. He's gone.
But is he really gone? Like, how could you ever feel safe again?
Right? I mean, they live with that fear for a whole
Oh,
year.
year.
Yeah, just this anxiety hanging over them. It changes everything, like their routines, their relationships, how they see the world.
It's textbook trauma, right? It changes you.
Absolutely. And then, get this, a year later, it's Christmas again. They're having another gathering, trying to get back to some kind of normal.
Yeah.
And the storyteller, she glances out the window and sees her neighbors having a party.
Oh, no.
It's like fate is messing with them, bringing them face to face with the source of their trauma. And they're watching this party, and then they see him,
No way.
the attacker, the guy who stabbed their uncle.
Oh, gosh, right there at the party.
He's just there, like it's nothing.
Oh, my gosh. I can't even imagine. So many emotions all at once.
Right? Shock, anger, fear, but also maybe some validation, like what happened to them was real.
Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't all in their head.
So they go to their neighbors and confront them, hoping for some explanation, anything, but the neighbors just deny everything. Say he's just a visitor, there's no way he could be the guy.
Wow. That just adds another layer to it all.
It really does. Makes you wonder, are the neighbors clueless or are they covering for him?
Right. Scary to think that someone like that could be hiding in plain sight.
Totally. And for the family, it's devastating. They feel like nobody believes them. They're all alone in their fear.
And they're living right next door to the people who may be protecting their attacker.
I know. It's really messed up. How do you even begin to deal with that?
Yeah. It's like sometimes the scariest things aren't the monsters in the dark, but the ones right there in front of you.
So they're stuck, right? They can't just forget about what they saw, but they can't get any justice or even like an acknowledgement from their neighbors. It's a nightmare.
It is. And it just shows how much damage something like that can do. It violates your space, your security, and it just stays with you.
Yeah, that feeling of not being safe in your own home.
It's awful. Your home's supposed to be your sanctuary, right? Where you feel safe. And when that's broken, it's really hard to get it back.
So what do you do? Like, how do you move on when the person who did this is right next door?
Well, that's what this family had to figure out. And in the end, they made a really tough choice. They decided to move.
It's sad, they had to leave their home because of what someone else did.
Yeah, it makes you think about the consequences, how one person's actions can affect so many others.
It shows that there aren't always easy answers or happy endings. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just get away from the situation.
And start over somewhere you feel safe. It's important to take care of yourself.
This story's been a lot. It's scary, it's sad, but it's also a reminder that these things, they happen in real life, not just in the movies.
Yeah, we need to be aware of that. Be more careful, look out for each other.
So what's your biggest takeaway from all this? What really stuck with you?
I think it's how trauma can show up in different ways. It's not always obvious. It doesn't always happen right away.
Mhm.
And sometimes the worst part isn't the actual event, but how it affects you afterward. Your sense of self, your relationships, how you see the world.
That's a really good point. And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us for this deep dive. It's been intense. We hope it's gotten you thinking and maybe even inspired you to create a safer, more supportive community for yourselves and the people around you. Until next time, stay safe and keep exploring.